Oh, what is up, guys and girls? Welcome back to another chess video. This is me, JK Jax, back at it again. Today I'm going to be showing you how to play the Vienna. In the first part, I've talked about knight f6. Today's video, knight c6. And it's called the max Lange defense. In my opinion, it's one of the most solid ways to play against the Vienna. However, we're going to have a fighting game. Alright, bishop c4. Bishop c4 is the most aggressive variation and probably the best way to play against the max Lange. And if you're bored of the Vienna, you can always transpose into the Italian anytime you want. So that's a nice benefit. Here black has two moves, bishop c5 and knight f6. Let's start with the move bishop c5 in today's video. It's called the copycat variation. Against the copycat, we will play queen g4, right? Attack the g7 pawn immediately, forcing him to react. Here black has a lot of moves, but only like two is good. Let's start about the two not so good moves. The beginner's mistake is actually queen f6. It's surprising because you defend the g7 pawn and you counter attack, right? But here you have the nice move knight d5. Now you have your own counter attack. And if they take the pawn, yes, they win a pawn, but what do they get? What do you get? You have a better position, you still have these two problems unsolved, and the queen actually has no good escape squares. You see, all the escape squares are basically taken by all of your pieces. Her only safe square is the d4 square, which in that point in time, I'll show you why it's very bad later. So let's say if the opponent plays, d6, try this one trick pony, you trap his rook in the corner. But let's say if they try to defend the g7 pawn by playing the move pawn to g6, then you're going to win immediately with the move knight to h3. And now the queen's only escape square is d4, and now you play the glue that holds everything together, pawn to d3. That wins you the entire game. Your threat is to play c3. Don't play bishop e3, don't hang your b pawn, okay? Play c3, and that traps the queen. So here, black would try to free his queen by playing bishop to e7, but here you have a very nice and hard to explain move, knight to g5. Knight to g5, what is white's idea? White wants to probably play something like queen f3 and put pressure against the f7 pawn, and in the future will take this pawn with check and win a lot of material, like a lot of material. Let's say if they play something like b5, then you can immediately just take here. King d8, and now knight takes b5, and yeah, white is up a pawn. But not only that, black has a super weak king and a queen that's getting harassed by this knight on b5. And let's say if they play something like h5, all you do is slide the queen back, and yeah, the problem is still unsolved. You still need to stop the move pawn to c3. And if you play something like this, rook f1, kaboom. Best variation against all that, like after king d8, his best move is to play king f8. Here you play knight h3, h5, queen to g5, queen d4, d3, bishop e7 to attack the queen. Now queen g3. And here you're still going for the same idea with c3, bishop e3, rook f1, and your goal here is to put as much pressure on the f7 pawn as much as possible, yeah, and win from there. So against queen g4, black should try something like king f8 or g6, but if you are rebellious, you may try knight d4, but it won't be as rewarding as you think. Let's say queen takes g7. Now queen goes to f6, all you do is trade queens, and now you need to defend the c2 pawn, you go back. Now let's say if black tries to make progress with something like pawn to d6, now you have this very nice key move, knight a4. So your game plan is simple. You trade away the dark square bishop for the knight, and you can play this a little bit like a Rui Lopez, where you put your pawn to c3, your bishop to c2, play towards the center, and then continue developing naturally, normally, with moves like bishop g5, knight f3, castles, and you can even choose to go for a queenside attack. And over here, white's position is fantastic. White is just up a pawn here and enjoying a very great position. So now, what happens if the opponent plays the one of the two best moves, g6. Against g6, I like to play the move queen to f3. It really puts pressure against the f7 pawn. Here black will play knight f6, okay? And over here, I really like this move knight g to e2. Now why knight g to e2? You need to stop knight d4. If black gets knight d4 in, black is just better, full stop. Because, you know, remember that time queen f6 we played knight d5? Now he's doing it to us. And that's why you do need to play knight d4 to stop knight takes c2 and the queen, right, from being attacked. Here they will try one more trick, which is the move pawn to d6 to play bishop g4. But here, you all got it undercovered. Just play the move h3 and stop everything. Now, if they play bishop e6 to try and trade the bishop, here you don't mind, you just go d3. And your plan is very simple. If they take your bishop, you're going to win material by playing bishop g5, because this is a pin on a queen, right? And they can't defend because this bishop cannot go back anymore because of this pawn on d6, right? It can't go back to defend the knight, and so they're gonna suffer. Now let's say they save the bishop. Now this is just a plain fork, so this is just a terrible position for black. So that's why they have to play a little bit more solid and more modest. However, in this position is much better for white here. Let's say they try knight d4, just take the knight in the damn center, and they will lose material after bishop g5. So everything revolves around bishop g5. And let's say if black were to play h6 to stop bishop to g5, here in this position you actually have knight d5. Knight d5 plants the knight firmly into the center, and now you can play for moves like c3, b4, maybe even a4. And if they take the knight, let's say with the bishop, then you can take it with the e-pawn, and now the knight needs to go. So it probably might want to go to b4 or a5, regardless of where it goes, right? Let's say even here, you can give a check so that you don't lose your very strong light square bishop. And if they block, you can just take and slide back, and everything is a-okay here. You have a3, b4 coming up. Black's pieces are going to get forked like no tomorrow. Other than knight a5, black can also play knight b4, which in this case, simply slide your bishop back, then kick the knight out with a3, then put your bishop onto e3, trade away the dark square bishop, and have an open f-file after you castle, and your queen and rook line up for a devastating attack. In the Vienna mainly, it revolves play around the f-file, so try to find ways to open your f-file up without making such major concessions, i.e. safety of your king. And one more variation that you need to remember, which is quite sharp, and if white makes one wrong move, black is better. However, if white knows the move, white is winning. So the move here is e4. A lot of people will take here and blunder the move knight to e5, which crumbles their position. It's terrible. For example, if you take the pawn, he'll play knight e5, forking your bishop and queen, and to save both pieces at once, you have to play queen c3. But in playing queen c3, you hang your e4 pawn. That's why it's very dangerous. You have to play this move queen f4. And if they play knight e5, still going for the idea, here you can simply just castle, and life goes on. A6, now you can actually deliver a fork of your own, d4, and if they take, you will take their bishop. And I think here white is fantastic. Here you have an open e file for you to use after move like knight c3, followed, and also rook e1, just putting pressure against the e4 pawn, and your queen is already putting pressure against the e4 pawn, so everything is going well for you. Another idea you may even try is b3 followed by bishop b2, taking advantage of this diagonal and paired up with the queen. I tell you, it's a very deadly combo, so try it out. That's why over here it's a very uncomfortable position to play as black. Black has not a lot of good ideas at all. It involves a lot of backward knight moves to try and make progress in the position, but nothing comes out of this for black. So that's why g6 is not seen. The more common move is actually king f8, and this is the best way to play against the copycat variation after queen g4. Here, I like the move queen f3. Once again, just go for the typical queen f3 idea and go for the f7 pawn. And here, black will 100% of the time play knight f6 to defend the checkmate and develop the knight. And here, again, stop knight d4. So it's actually quite similar to the other variation you talked about. If they play d6, here you can just play the move pawn to d3, allowing bishop g4. And after here, if they take, you take the bishop back with the knight to stop the knight from coming to d4. And in this position, white is better here because you're gonna castle, put your king on h1, and start a very aggressive kingside attack with the move pawn to f4. You can start an attack out of thin air in the Vienna. It's fantastic, a nice opening. So yeah, that will be it for the Vienna variation. Hope you guys enjoyed. The video is a little bit dry, but if you guys really want to see more Vienna content, or you want me to play the Vienna and show you its true power, its true potential, let me know down in the comments below. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.